Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight are Trevor Abrahams, a credit manager whose specialist subject is Sidney Poitier. Bryony Havergill, a film and television student who'll be answering questions on Greek mythology. Stuart Matheson, an historian whose subject is the band Soundgarden. And Sue Kendall, a retired secretary, her subject, the Women's Institute. As ever, tonight's contenders face a daunting prospect, alone in the glare of the spotlight, no one to confer with, in the knowledge that the clock is the boss. They get 2 minutes on the first round, their specialist subject, then 2.5 minutes on their general knowledge. The winner will come back for the semi-finals and have to do it all over again. So let's ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Trevor Abrahams.
Your occupation?
Credit manager.
And your chosen subject?
Sidney Poitier.
Ah, the great, groundbreaking, Oscar-winning actor. Here we go. 2 minutes on him, starting now. Poitier grew up on Cat Island in the Bahamas, where his parents were farmers. What was the main crop they grew to provide an income?
Tomatoes.
Yep. What was the forename of Poitier's mother? He described her as a creature of silence, so inarticulate she could hardly talk to anyone except my father.
Evelyn.
Yep. As a young man, Poitier worked as a dishwasher in New York City to raise the money he needed to move back to Nassau. He wrote to President Roosevelt to ask for a loan. What sum of money did he ask for?
$100.
Yep. In 1964, Poitier became the first African-American to win the Oscar for Best Actor for his role in a film in which he plays a handyman who builds a chapel in Arizona for a group of German nuns. What film?
Lily of the Fields.
Not quite. Lilies of the Field. Poitier made his Broadway debut in 1946 in the play Lysistrata, where he was overcome with stage fright and forgot his lines. The show was panned by critics and closed after 4 performances. At which theatre was it?
The Bedford.
The Belasco. They call me Mr. Tibbs is a famous line spoken by Poitier in the 1967 film In the Heat of the Night. The line is addressed to the bigoted police chief Bill Gillespie, played by which actor?
Rod Steiger.
Yep. Poitier's first film, after he won his Oscar, received poor reviews, and he reportedly described it as a constant reminder that I must never let my head get too big. Which film?
Men of Eve.
The Longships. In 1959, Poitier returned to Broadway after an absence of more than 10 years in Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun. He had a difficult working relationship with the actress who played his mother in the play. Which actress?
Ruby Dee.
No, Claudia McNeil. In the summer of 1964, Poitier and a companion visited Mississippi to deliver a large donation of money to civil rights volunteers. And while they were there, they were intimidated by the Ku Klux Klan. Who was Poitier's famous companion on that trip?
Harry Belafonte.
Yes, Poitier played a teenager in the film Blackboard Jungle. In his first scene, his character, Miller, is asked by a new teacher to stop referring to him by what nickname?
Chief.
Chief is correct. No passes, Trevor. You have scored 6 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Bryony Havergill.
Your occupation?
I'm a film and TV student.
And your chosen subject?
Greek mythology.
Greek mythology in 2 minutes. Here we go. One of the daughters of Nyx is a goddess who came to personify the power of retribution for evil deeds and excess, and was also thought of as the punisher of heartless lovers. What's her name?
Nemesis?
Yep. Bellerophon was sent to the court of King Iobates of Lycia with a sealed letter which requested that the bearer be killed. Iobates ordered him to kill the monstrous offspring of Typhon and Echidna on the assumption that he would die in the attempt. What was the monster called?
The Chimera.
Yep. What did Zeus grant to the handsome shepherd Endymion together with eternal youth as the result of a wish made either by the young man himself or the moon goddess Selene?
Marriage to Hero?
No, perpetual sleep. Lycaon, the king of Arcadia, served Zeus a meal of human flesh, and as a punishment, the god killed all but one of Lycaon's sons, caused a devastating flood, and transformed the king into an animal. What animal?
A wolf.
Yeah, a bronze giant forged by Hephaestus to guard the island of Crete, threw rocks at ships to repel invaders of the island or burn them by making himself red hot and embracing them. What was the giant called?
Kalos?
No, Talos. Which young Lydian woman, the daughter of Idmon of Colophon, challenged Athene to a spinning contest when her work equaled that of the goddess? She was turned into a spider.
Arachne?
Yeah. King Minos' daughter Ariadne gave Theseus a ball of thread which helped him to escape from the labyrinth after he killed the Minotaur. Theseus later abandoned her as she lay asleep on the shore of an island. Which island?
Naxos?
Yep. A nymph with healing powers, who was the lover of Paris, initially refused to help when he was wounded in the Trojan War, and by the time she repented, it was too late. Who was she?
Oenone?
Yes. Which goddess has a name that's sometimes said to mean foam-born? In one version of her birth, she sprang fully grown from the foam of the sea.
Aphrodite?
Yep. The 10th labour of Heracles was to seize the cattle that lived on the island of Erythea in the far west and drive them back to Greece. Which three-headed ogre owned the cattle?
Geryon?
Yeah. What was the name of the son of Cronus and the nymph Philara, who was the wisest of the centaurs? He became the tutor to many heroic figures, including Jason, Asclepius, and Achilles.
Chiron?
Is correct. No passes. Bryony, you have 9 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Stuart Matheson,
Your occupation?
historian,
And your chosen subject?
Soundgarden.
The American rock band who were part of the Seattle grunge music scene, along with the likes of Nirvana, back in the 80s and 90s. Here we go, 2 minutes. The original lineup of Soundgarden was Kim Thayil on guitar, Hiro Yamamoto on bass, and Chris Cornell on lead vocals. Cornell also played drums at the band's first few shows before they recruited a full-time drummer. What was his name?
Scott Sundquist.
Yep. Soundgarden played their first gig in Seattle in 1984. What was the name of the venue?
The off-ramp.
The Top of the Court. 3 of the band's songs were included on a 1986 compilation album called Deep Six, which features tracks from a number of Seattle-based bands. The Soundgarden songs were Heretic, Tears to Forget, and which other?
Hunted Down.
All Your Lies. The band took their name from a sculptural installation in Seattle. The installation is formed of giant pipe-like structures which whistle when the wind blows through them. Which artist created the sculpture?
Pass.
The final track on the band's 1988 debut studio album, Ultra Mega OK, comprises faint background noises and finger clicking. It's based on a similar song by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. What's the title of the Soundgarden version?
1 minute silence.
Yep, Soundgarden appointed a manager shortly before their first record was released. She was, at the time, Chris Cornell's girlfriend. What's her name?
Susan Silver.
Yep, Soundgarden were nominated for 8 Grammy Awards during their career and won twice. One was in the Best Hard Rock Performance category for Black Hole Sun. They won the Best Metal Performance Award for which song?
Jesus Christ Pose.
Spoon Man. The Latvian musician and actress Natasha Schneider was a guest performer on the Super Unknown album on the track Fresh Tendrils. What keyboard instrument does she play on the song?
Mellotron.
A clavinet. Chris Cornell recorded the theme song to the 2006 James Bond feature film Casino Royale. The song You Know My Name was co-written by Cornell and the composer of the film's score. What's his name?
Pass.
Bullets, guns and missiles, a stone and a sling, a motherless country, of thee I sing, are lyrics from a song on the 2012 album King Animal. Which song?
Pass.
The band's first, I've started, so I'll finish. The band's first single to reach the UK top 40 was a song from the Bad Motorfinger album. What's the title of the song?
Outshined.
Jesus Christ Pose. And you had 3 passes. The song on that 2012 album King Animal was Non-State Actor. The song You Know My Name was co-written by Cornell and David Arnold. And that installation, the sculpture, the artist was Douglas Hollis. You have, Stuart, 3 points. And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Sue Kendall.
Your occupation?
Retired secretary.
And your chosen subject?
The WI.
The WI, the Women's Institute. In 2 minutes, starting now. The WI was founded in Canada by a bereaved mother who wanted women to learn the importance of domestic science. What was her name?
Adelaide Hoodless.
Yep. The first institute was established in the 1890s after Adelaide Hoodless was invited to give a talk at the Farmers' Institute in a small settlement in Ontario, where she suggested the idea of a women's branch of that organisation. What's the name of the settlement?
Stony Creek.
Yep. What was the name of the Canadian widow who worked alongside John Nugent Harris and the Agricultural Organisation Society to spread the word in Britain about the Women's Institute movement?
Madge Watt.
Yep. The first British Women's Institute was formed in 1915 on the island of Anglesey. And 2 others followed shortly afterwards in England, one in Dorset, one in a village near Chichester. What's the name of that village?
Singleton.
Yes. During the Second World War, the Institute had a drop in numbers and had to compete with an organisation originally set up by the Marchioness of Reading to help with civil defence. Which organisation?
Pass.
Betty Christmas, the first warden of Denham College, the WI's adult education centre, lived in the grounds with her pet dog Sam, who, according to visitors, stank to high heaven and slept on any upholstered chair and on any quilted bed. What breed of dog was he?
Pass.
Which suffragist and vice-chairman of the WI was responsible for Jerusalem being used as the anthem for the organisation?
Grace Haddow.
Yep. The Landswoman was the title of a journal which provided the Institute with a space to share news and articles about the movement. Its editor had the nickname Slasher because of her skills at cricket. What was her name?
Pass.
In 1969, the Institute staged the world premiere of an operatic sequence composed by Malcolm Williamson. It showed women's lives through the centuries from the Middle Ages to the Second World War. What was its title?
No, pass.
The 2003 film Calendar Girls was based on members of a WI in the Yorkshire Dales National Park who posed naked to raise money for medical research. What's the name of that WI?
Rylstone and District.
Yes, in June 2019, the Women's Institute launched a campaign to raise awareness of the importance of routine cervical screening for women. What name was given to the campaign?
5 minutes matter.
5 minutes that matter. Correct. You have 4 passes. The Brilliant and the Dark was the name of that show, the Middle Ages to the Second World War. Muriel Talbot was the otherwise known as the Slasher because of her skills at cricket. The dog that stank to high heaven was a black Labrador. And you'll be cross about this one, I bet, because that organisation that they had to compete with was the Women's Voluntary Service. Yeah, you did know it. It's funny. It's what that chair does to you. Anyway, Sue, you have 7 points.
Thank you.
So that is the end of the specialist subjects round. Let's have a look at all the scores. In 4th place with 3 points, Stuart. 3rd place, 6 points, Trevor. 2nd place, 7 points, Sue. 1st place, 9 points, Bryony. So now it is the general knowledge round, of course, and if there is a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, then there has to be a tie break. So let's ask Stuart, join us again, please. All right, well, you start out with a modest 3, but you've got 2.5 minutes of general knowledge now to catch up. Here we go. The scones served as part of a cream tea are traditionally spread with clotted cream and what other ingredient?
Jam.
Yep. In which Dutch city is the museum known as the Anne Frank House? She and her family hid in its secret annex from 1942 till 44.
Amsterdam.
Yep. In 2017, Mark Selby won the World Championship for the 3rd time. In which sport?
Snooker.
Yep. In a 1993 dinosaur film, a character played by Jeff Goldblum says, "Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should." Which film?
Jurassic Park.
Yep. The precious metal with the atomic number 47 sits beneath copper and above gold in the periodic table and is used extensively in electronics because of its high electrical conductivity. Which metal?
Silver.
Yep. Which Jamaican reggae singer had a backing band called the Aces and was best known for his 1969 hit single, The Israelites?
John Tosh.
Desmond Dekker. Which author used his experiences as a junior doctor in London's slums as the basis for his first novel, Liza of Lambeth, published in 1897?
Pass.
A 1968 episode of Star Trek featured what is widely, though incorrectly, credited as the first interracial kiss on television. The kiss was between Captain Kirk and which other character?
Uhura.
Yeah. What fantasy role-playing game was designed by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson and launched in 1974? Its name is often abbreviated to D&D.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep. Which of Shakespeare's comedies is set mainly in the Forest of Arden? The play features the lovers Rosalind and Orlando, as well as the quick-witted jester Touchstone.
As You Like It.
Yes, the country that has borders with both Greece and Iran, among others, shares its name with a large bird famed for its meat. Which country?
Turkey.
Yep. The French composer Hector Berlioz based his 1863 opera The Trojans, or Les Troyens, on a work by the Roman poet Virgil. Which work?
No, sorry.
Which planet's largest moon is called Triton? The moon is named after a son of Poseidon and was first observed by the astronomer William Lassell only a few weeks after the planet itself had been discovered.
Neptune.
Yep. An Oscar-winning actress presented a series of best-selling aerobic exercise home videos in the 1980s, which sold more than 17 million copies. What's her name?
Rosemary Connolly.
Jane Fonda. The CAC 40 is a share price index based on 40 companies listed on the stock exchange of a European capital city. Which city?
Paris.
Is correct. You had two passes. The Trojans was based, or Les Troyens, was based on the Aeneid. And the junior doctor, who worked in the slums and wrote a book about it was none other than Somerset Maugham. You have, though, now, Stuart, a very respectable total of 14 points. And next up, we have Trevor again. Lees. And Trevor, you start out with 6 points. 14 at the moment is the score to beat. So here we go. 2.5 minutes of general knowledge starting now. The giant panda is native exclusively to which country?
China.
Yep, a word which means profoundly wise is also the common name of a culinary herb that's often mixed with onion to flavour a stuffing. What herb?
Sage.
Yep. Which actress stars opposite Adam Driver in the 2019 film Marriage Story? She was nominated for an Oscar for her performance as Nicole, a woman going through a divorce.
Nicole Kidman.
Scarlett Johansson. The Reeperbahn is a street and entertainment district in the St. Pauli neighbourhood of a city in northern Germany. Which city?
Hamburg.
Yeah. What's the name of the former Wall Street investment banker who founded Amazon in Seattle in the mid-1990s?
Bezos.
Yes. The American duo Gnarls Barkley made UK chart history in 2006 with the first single to reach #1 based solely on downloads. What was its title?
Pass.
What term from the Greek for similar and suffering refers to the treatment of a disease by administering minuscule amounts of a drug that in a healthy person would produce similar symptoms? It's based on the principle that like cures like.
Vaccine.
Homeopathy. In which 1891 novel by Thomas Hardy is the heroine arrested at Stonehenge for murder and later hanged?
Tessa of d'Urberville.
Yep. What name from a Latin term for a thin plate of metal is given to the brightly coloured leaves resembling petals that surround clusters of flowers on plants such as the poinsettia?
Sepals.
Bracts. The American tennis player who won the women's singles title at all 4 Grand Slam tournaments in 1953 was popularly known as Little Mo. What was her surname?
Jarvis.
Connolly. A London museum, which has branches in Manchester and Duxford, near Cambridge, has the website address www.iwm.org.uk. Which museum?
Air Museum.
Imperial War Museum. Diego Rodriguez de Silva were the forenames of a Spanish artist born in 1599, whose early works include Old Woman Frying Eggs and The Water Cellar of Seville. Which artist?
El Greco.
Velasquez. What's the surname of the British fashion models Poppy and her younger sister Cara? The latter was named Model of the Year at the British Fashion Awards in 2012 and 14.
Delavigne.
Yep. A long-running American science fiction television series, first broadcast in 1993, has an opening title sequence that usually ends with a display of the tagline of "The truth is out there." What series?
The X-Files.
Yep. Which day of the week is named after Tyr, the one-handed god of battle in Norse mythology?
Thursday.
Tuesday. Could have been. Just the one past Trevor. The American duo Gnarls Barkley made UK chart history in 2006 with a single called Crazy. You now have 13 points. And now Sue again, please. And Sue, you start out with 7 points. 14 is the score to beat at the moment. 2.5 minutes on general knowledge, starting now. Tachycardia and arrhythmia are variations from the normal function of which organ of the body?
Heart.
Yep. What French name is given to a savoury item which consists of a small round case of puff pastry filled with meat, fish or vegetables in a creamy sauce? The name translates as flight in the wind.
Croissant.
Vol-au-vent. After it was restored, Isambard Kingdom Brunel's passenger steamship SS Great Britain was opened as a museum in the English city where it was launched in 1843. Which city?
Bristol.
Yep. What colourless acid, sometimes used in textile production, occurs naturally in the venom of certain ants?
Formic acid.
Yep. The medical drama Casualty gave rise to a spin-off series, first broadcast in 1999, which is set in the same hospital. What's the title of the spin-off?
Holby City.
Yep. In 2018, Dame Sarah Mullally became the first woman to hold what senior position in the Church of England?
Archbishop of Canterbury. No.
Bishop of London. Which American singer born Yvette Stevens sang with the group Rufus on the single Ain't Nobody? It was a UK hit single in 1984 and again as a remix 5 years later.
Pass.
The job title of a government official who investigates sudden deaths or deaths from unnatural or unknown causes comes from a Latin word for crown. What's the job title?
Coroner.
Yep. The North African enclaves of Ceuta and Melilla are administered by which European country?
Portugal.
Spain. In an opera by Bizet, the characters Nadir and Zoga sing the duet Au fond du tombeau, which recurs as a friendship theme throughout the performance. Which opera?
Carmen.
The Pearl Fishers. Which actress played Tracy DiVincenzo, who was briefly married to James Bond before being killed in the 1969 film On Her Majesty's Secret Service?
Pass.
A children's construction toy, first patented in Denmark in 1958, consists of sets of brightly coloured interconnecting plastic bricks and has a name derived from a Danish term that means play well. What's it called?
Lego.
Yes. Which American city is home to the Red Sox baseball team and the Celtics basketball team?
Boston.
Yep. What word for a type of gourd eaten as a vegetable is also used in the name of the soft tissue inside the cavities of bones where blood cells are produced?
Marrow.
Yep. Canada Day commemorates the creation of Canada in 1867 by the British North America Act. The day is celebrated annually on the first day of which month?
July.
Yeah. In Western astrology, one of the 12 signs of the zodiac is often depicted as a maiden carrying an ear of grain. Which sign? Take a guess.
Aquarius.
Virgo.
I know it's not.
You had 2 passes. Sue. Diana Rigg played Tracy DiVincenzo.
Yes.
And got married to James Bond. And that American singer born Yvette Stevens was Chaka Khan. You have scored 16 points.
Thank you.
And finally, Bryony again, please. And Bryony, you start out with 9 points. The score to beat is 16 for your place in the semi-finals. So, let's see how you get on with general knowledge questions. Here we go. The Indian city of Darjeeling in West Bengal is best known for its production of what commodity?
Tea.
Yep. Which Scottish singer rose to fame in 2009 when she sang I Dreamed a Dream for her audition on Britain's Got Talent?
Susan Boyle.
Yep. An interrobang is a symbol sometimes used at the end of a rhetorical question or to convey disbelief. It's a combination of a question mark and which other punctuation mark?
An exclamation mark?
Yes. In a major upset in boxing, a previously undefeated world heavyweight champion lost his titles in a fight in 1990 when he was beaten by James Buster Douglas. Which boxer?
Pass.
Spear, welted and cotton are purple-flowered species of a prickly plant native to Britain. What plant?
Thistle.
Yep. The American painter famed for her depictions of rural life and who held her first one-woman show in New York in 1940 at the age of 80 was born Anna Mary Robertson, but is better known by what name?
Mary Robertson.
Grandma Moses, a toy that first became popular in the 1990s, often described as a virtual reality pet, has a name that's partly derived from the Japanese word for egg. What name?
Tamagotchi.
Yep, in the 1970s, Gladys Knight and the Pips had a UK hit single and won a Grammy Award with a song entitled Midnight Train to which American state?
New York.
Georgia. Which British actor won a BAFTA in February 2020 for outstanding British contribution to cinema? He's known for his motion capture performances in films such as King Kong and the Lord of the Rings series.
Andy Serkis.
Yes, who was the only American president to leave the White House and return for a second term 4 years later? His first term was in the 1880s.
Pass.
A type of treatment to relieve symptoms of the menopause is known as HRT. What do the letters HRT stand for?
Hormone regulation therapy.
Hormone replacement therapy. At the age of 17, Prince William of Denmark became the monarch of a different European country and reigned there as King George I till his murder in 1913. Which country?
Slovenia.
Greece. Ian Hislop succeeded Richard Ingrams as the editor of a fortnightly satirical current affairs magazine in 1986. Which magazine?
Pass.
What French name is used in English for an appetizer that consists of raw vegetables cut into small pieces or strips and often served with dips? It's the plural of a word that translates into English as rawness.
Crudité.
Yes, which joint in the human body is affected by a Pott's fracture?
Elbow.
Ankle. What musical instrument, similar to a concertina, is played by pressing buttons or keys while opening and closing bellows? Its name comes from an Italian word that means to tune.
Harpsichord.
Accordion. You had 3 passes. Ian Hislop succeeded Richard Ingrams as the editor of Private Eye. Grover Cleveland was the only American president to leave the White House and come back again. And Mike Tyson was the chap who was beaten by James Buster Douglas. You have scored 16 points. Well, that was a close contest. Let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place with 13 points, Trevor. 3rd place with 14 points, Stuart. 2nd place with 16 points and 6 passes, Sue. 1st place with 16 points and 3 passes, Bryony. So, Bryony goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to her. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. Do join us again next time for more Masterminds, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.
When I first came into the studio, I was really excited, but I was so nervous, and I know that everybody's going to see me shaking.
No passes, Bryony. You have 9 points.
I think as sort of a young woman, you're not really expected to be intellectual, especially when you're bleach blonde. But my parents have always said, go on a quiz show. So they're always proud of me, but they're going to be really, really proud of me. And my mum might cry, and to be honest, my dad might cry as well.
Well, that was a close contest.
To be honest, I didn't think I was gonna end up being in the top 2. So I was kind of scared, but really excited.
1st place with 16 points and 3 passes, Bryony.
I'm gonna start revising, and I will definitely remember that passes mean everything. If they can make or break you.